Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Parent and Family Services latest edition for our summer webinar series. My name is Meredith Call, and I serve as the Director for the Office of Parent and Family Services. And I'm so excited that you're able to join us today about our first year experience and ways that you can help support your student in ensuring that they have a great and successful first year at UAB. We've got a great series of panelists that are going to be able to share with you a lot of great information and about how you can support it and things that your students may go through during their first year on campus. Before we get started with that, though, I do want to make a couple of general announcements. One, we definitely want this to be an interactive and engaging presentation today. So we want to make sure that you have that opportunity to ask your questions. And if you're joining us through Zoom, all you have to do to ask your questions is put those questions into the Q&A box that you'll see down at the bottom of your Zoom screen. But know that for those of you that are watching us via Facebook, that we are monitoring our Facebook page as well. So if you have questions, please just feel free to type your questions into the comments section on Facebook, and we will be able to monitor and ask those questions as well. So also though, but because we are doing this as a live presentation, we want to make sure that we're respecting the privacy of all of our students. So if you have a student-specific question, just make sure that you're not providing us with any information that would be identifying to your student, meaning your student's full name or their Blazer ID, email address, anything like that, just so that we can keep that privacy safe and secure. So those are all of my general announcements that I have for this morning. And again, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And this presentation will be available after today's webinar, both on the Parent and Family Services website as well. It will be about a few days before it gets up on the website, but it'll also be available via our Facebook page almost immediately. So that way, if you want to share this information with other people, it is still available to you. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce our group of panelists and presenters for today, because we do have some great information to share with you. And first up, I'd like to introduce Victoria Smith, our Associate Director for our first year experience here at UAB.
Hello, everyone. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you. Meredith, shall I go ahead and get the PowerPoint started? Excellent. Okay. All right. Hopefully everyone can see that. Does that look all right to you, Meredith?
Yes, it looks great.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today. We are here to talk about ways that you can support your student as they transition into college, whether that is from a long time of being out of an academic setting or straight from high school, or even from another institution. Briefly, our outline today is we're going to talk about common college transition issues that we see here at UAB. Then we'll talk about 3 different resources for your students. The first is first year experience courses and how they can help with these college transition issues. The second is how academic advisors at UAB can help. And finally, how you as parents or family members can help your students. And then we'll have time at the end for Q&A, and we're happy to discuss with you any questions you may have. Today, our panelists we have people from across campus. I'm very excited. And as I introduce you, if you don't mind just unmuting yourself and showing us your face to say hello really quickly. We have Amy Atkinson, who is the Director of Honors Advising for the Honors College.
Hi, it's nice to see you all. Thank you for coming today.
We have Jessica Bumpus, who is an academic advisor in the School of Nursing.
Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for coming.
And we also have Kristen Sheplow, who's a program manager for the School of Health Professions, as well as an instructor for first year experience courses.
Hello, friends. Good to meet you.
And then my name is Victoria Smith. I'm the Associate Director of First Year Experience here at UAB, and I'm honored to be here with these colleagues. So to jump straight into our topic for today, we see some common college transition issues. Of course, every student is an individual and may have different challenges, but these are 5 transition issues that are common. Of course, academic expectations. The rigor of college is different, moving from high school, and even moving from some 2-year colleges into 4-year colleges. The academics may be different than what your student has experienced in the past. The pacing of courses and how quickly material is presented and that students need to learn it, for example. Campus engagement is another one. So whether that means connecting with other students on campus, connecting with UAB employees, or the student's school or department, sometimes it takes some time for students to feel engaged and part of campus. If they live on campus, this can also involve roommates and things like that. Another common college transition issue is time management. Like I said, the pacing of courses can be a lot faster than in previous academic experiences. Also, students are expected to do a lot more out of class on their own than in high school. Classes may meet just twice a week, for example, and so there's a lot of time students need to spend on their own studying the material. That's one example. Not to mention the fact that students are often working, maybe they are caretakers for family, and they have a lot of other responsibilities. So we understand that transitioning to college may mean a whole new way of trying to balance one's schedule. Major and career path is another major issue for transitioning into college, of choosing out of all of the options that are available and figuring out what that means for your student's career and future after college. And finally, self-advocacy. Moving into college is a time that students really need to start speaking up for themselves. And if they're experiencing a problem, learning not just that it's okay to contact people on campus for help, but learning how to do that in a way that is professional. So these are the 5 common college transition issues that we see. And Meredith, if you'd love to pull up the poll, we'd like to ask you, which of these issues do you think will be the most pertinent for your student this fall?
I have pulled up the poll. I do want to clarify for all of those that are watching us through Facebook Live. The poll is only available, unfortunately, to those that are watching us via Zoom, but it is at least something that we can get some of these, but we'll be able to share the results with everybody afterwards. Give it just a second more, and then I will close the poll out and share the results. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll, and then I'm gonna share this with everybody.
Fascinating. So I see that it's split about 1/3 for each way that academic expectations, campus engagement, and time management are the top 3 concerns that you all are kind of expecting your student to experience this fall. So we'll make sure that we focus on those 3 in particular throughout the rest of this presentation. Thank you for that. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Kristen, to talk about what an FYE course is and how it can help support your student.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Victoria was saying, a first-year experience is so much more than just a course. A first-year experience is you're coming on campus, you're joining student organizations, going to athletic events or art and science events. But the first year experience course is part of that. And within these courses, we try to help connect the students to the university. We try to help connect the students to their peers, to the community, and just help them, realize the expectations, but also feel a part. I'm very lucky I've been able to teach our first year experience course for a number of years in the School of Health Professions. And part of the course is learning how to study. I know I went to high school, it's been a few years, but when I went to high school, I was the top of my class and I was in the Honor Society. And quite frankly, I barely studied. And then you come to college and the expectations are much higher. I know you guys mentioned academic expectations. It's true, they're much higher. It's a lot of critical thinking, a lot of application-based knowledge, not just rote memorization. And that was a struggle for me. And years ago, there was not a first year experience course to help me learn. So in our courses, we really work to help your students strengthen their academic skills, help them learn how to learn, help them be comfortable being uncomfortable, because quite frankly, a lot of times in college, it's a little uncomfortable, and a part of that is just teaching your students and growing with them and helping them, learn. It's okay to not have the answer. It's okay to search and find that answer. We also, do, I think, campus engagement. A part of all of the freshman year experience or first year experience courses is campus engaging. And this year it's going to look a little different. In years past, it was go to this event and go in big groups and do that. And as faculty, we're all adjusting to figure out how can we help you be engaged and connect with your peers in a safe environment. And that's something we're going to definitely work towards to make sure everybody finds their home at UAB. But also unique opportunities for many of our students across campus. Every department has a freshman year experience. Every undergraduate department has freshman year experience course, and they're all a little different. So in business, you may be, learning about business and learning about, your path and where you'll fit within business. In, an honor seminar, you may be focusing on a specific topic. In the College of Arts and Sciences, it may be general, just, adjusting to college. So we have many unique opportunities. Specifically, in mine, I do community service. So it's learning to work as a team, but also learning to make an impact in your community and how that can affect your future. So that's just a general overview of a freshman year experience course. They're all a little different, but each one we make sure to focus on your connection, your support academically, and your development. You can go to the next slide. So as part of our first year experience courses, you're going to explore yourself personally. There's a lot of self exploration, but also you may explore the community, you may explore the campus, you may explore where is my fit. A lot of students come to college and they're like, I know I want to be this, and I've wanted to be it since I was 2 years old. But they don't really know what that career does and how do they get there. So within our various classes, we're going to explore how do you get there and how do you find that perfect home for you, and how do you make sure that you're prepared and it's truly what you want to do. We're going to help you connect, like I said earlier, with your peers on campus, in the class, across campus, and also the community and your future field of choice in some cases. I know specifically in some programs, they're connecting with their careers. And then succeed. We want to see, like my precious student, Stephanie right there, we want to see these students succeed. So, we may be meeting them as freshmen, but we want to make sure we see them as our, UAB family, 4 years down the road, or, if they're going to graduate school 5, 6, 8 years down the road. We want them to always find a home at UAB, and we're making those connections in these classes that first year.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. So next, I want to talk about your student's academic advisor. So, in addition to the FYE courses like Kristen described, which definitely are there to help support and engage your student as they make that transition, advisors, especially kind of in today's college university life, we are definitely more than just planning a schedule or figuring out which classes your student needs. That's part of it. We will do that, and we're glad to do that. Definitely want to touch base and make sure they're staying on track academically. But there's so much more that we are there to provide for them. Just a few kind of points to encourage your student in regards to their advisor. Connecting early with us. They don't have to wait for registration to open up to come see us or contact us. They can come in just to kind of talk about, how things going at UAB, and come in to talk right now. Might be a Zoom or a phone call, but we are still available in that way, and want them to know they can come to us, about lots of things and not just the classes they want to take. Also there to be a campus resource. So your student will learn about all the different types of things across campus that they can use, like student counseling services, health services, other ways to get involved, lots of things. But sometimes they hear about something or they're not sure how to connect with it, and we're a great place to start. So I don't always know exactly how to do whatever it is they're wanting to do, but if they reach out to me and say, hey, I'm interested in joining the student organization, or I need access to resources service related to this issue I'm having, and that's where the advisor can connect them with that resource. Again, support along the way, whatever it is. I may not be able to instantly fix it, but I can, again, help them find those resources and support them through that process. We still have students, they may have declared a major. I work with pre-nursing students, so a lot of them are very sure about what they want to do, but occasionally they start to wonder, is this the right path for me? For different reasons. Maybe they've gone out and shadowed, and now they see maybe they're not confident about that that profession, or whatever it is. Coming to their academic advisor is one place to start exploring those other options if they need to talk through it. We certainly don't just, say, oh, well, what do you want to change to? Okay, let me make a click in your account, and now you're, a business major instead of pre-nursing or whatever it is. We would want to know, why are you considering this change, talking through it with them, help them understand kind of the long term, what the career options might be for them, their future profession that they're considering, and then a little bit more about why they don't want to continue where they are. So it's not a form or a click that we just simply do for them and move forward. We want to talk through and have that conversation about their plan, and again, help them academically stay on track with whatever they choose next. And a safe space to ask is what I've got listed there. And it kind of goes back to being a campus resource, but really, you know, I say to students, if you feel like you've got a question that you maybe feel kind of, you know, silly or just unsure, we are the place to start. No judgments. We do not expect you to know all the answers. And we welcome those questions. And that's for parents and family too, because we know, again, it's a big university, it's a lot to navigate. And sometimes even just knowing where to start can be overwhelming. So your advisor wants to help bring down that stress or anxiety and help you get what you are needing, and just to better understand something. You know, students, well, what's a FAFSA, or what is a prerequisite? I don't understand what that means, and that's fine. We speak a whole nother language in university life, and if we can help decode that and make it easier for your student to understand, we want to do that. Again, just to help with their success and as they move forward. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. But as we've mentioned earlier about self-advocacy, we do have kind of expectations on both sides of the relationship. You know, as their advisor, we're going to let them know about things that are coming up. We're going to communicate with them. We're going to be honest and you know, transparent there. We are there to listen. We want to hear what their goals are. We want to help match their academic planning to those long-term goals. Again, want to help with them learning about UAB and ultimately their success on campus as a student. But we need some things from them. You need them to communicate with us. Timely is probably one of the most important pieces. Some students, you know, their time management is excellent, but I know that first year can be a little bit rocky. And so sometimes we get, you know, urgent last minute request, and we're going to help them, absolutely, because that's a learning process too. But as much as they can communicate early, you know, if they know they need something 2 weeks ahead and reaching out to us, give us time to get back to them, you know, that's much better than the last minute panic email, because we don't want them to be in that situation. And if we can help them more effectively if we know earlier. You know, reflecting on why they have certain goals or things they want to do academically, we'll ask a student, well, you know, why do you want to do this major? Or why is this career? How does it fit into your goals for your life? And, you know, they may need some more time to think about that. And but hopefully we can help them get there too. Academic financial deadlines, again, that's kind of that time management and awareness. You know, they have to know when things are due. They have to kind of stay on top of their plan, and we can help send reminders on occasion, but ultimately we need them to kind of take that responsibility. Again, planning ahead and being proactive. But asking questions all along. So many emails start with, I'm sorry to bother you, but, and they can pretty much delete that part. They're not bothering us. We want to help them, and I'd certainly rather them ask and ask early so that we can get what they need and help them, you know, reach whatever goal that they're trying to do or complete a task in a timely way. So, thank you.
Hello, my name's Amy. I'm glad to see you all again. And so I get to talk about how you can help, how parents and families can help support your first year students. And there are a lot of ways. First, I think all advisors would tell you this, that please help your students remember that it is not only okay, it is absolutely vital to ask for help. It is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness, to know when you need help of any kind, whether it be, I don't know an answer to a question that I feel like I should, like Jessica was talking about, or if you need help with your academics, or if you need help with the transition. So there are lots of, remind them that it's absolutely okay. Another part of that is please help them to learn, encourage them to learn to self-advocate. I know that didn't come up on the poll as one of the top ones, but I still think it's super important and something that you can encourage them to do. If they don't know an answer to a question, have they tried their resources? Have they asked their academic advisor? Have they asked their FYE instructor? Have they tried One Stop? Or also the FYE Programs Office, or the Office of First Year Experience, is FYE Programs at uab.edu. So if you have a first year student who needs a question, have them try that. And also, instructors have office hours. That's so intimidating for students, and I know, but it is the best way to get to know your instructors. And way to use this situation for a positive is that a lot of instructor office hours are going to be virtual, which is far less scary to me than having to go into a professor's office. So encourage them to do that. Ask them when they come to you for help, ask them, did we know, have you tried all of the options for getting your question answered? Another way you can help is get involved in the Blazer family. So this is twofold. One, you're showing that your students' education is important, that you want to be a part of this, that you want to be a part of the UAB family. Two, by staying involved, you get all the newsletters, you get all the updates, and you know the answers to some of these questions, and you know resources to direct your students to. Another one, I didn't actually put this on the slide, but I think it's so important, and talking about academic expectations, be there to catch them when they make that first F, which I know we'd all love to pretend nobody ever will, but the vast majority of our students will, and they'll go on to graduate and do just fine. So be a soft place for them to land, encourage them, and then everybody's going to have a rough first test, a rough first assignment. What do you do from there? You get up, you dust yourself off, you keep going, helping. Don't fuss at them too much. And finally, y'all, everything is different now. We can't pretend that it's not. Be a little extra gentle with your students, and be a little extra gentle with yourself as well. This is a new and different time. So I know we have lots of time for Q&A. So I think I'm going to close on my slide and turn it back over to Jessica. Nope, sorry, I'm turning to Victoria, my bad.
No problem. Well, we would love to leave this time open to answer specific questions that you may have. Meredith, have we had any questions come in so far?
They've not come in yet. So at this point, for our family members, you have the opportunity, if you're watching us through Zoom, you can enter your questions through the Q&A function on the lower section of your Zoom platform. And then those of you that are watching us through Facebook, all you have to do is put your questions into the comment section there, and we'll be able to monitor all of those. I think some of the things that I was thinking of is especially working through the beginnings of the end of the summer and everything, and the family members are preparing for the start of the fall semester. What are those key steps that you think that students should be working on with their family members right now in order to really hit the ground strong starting in August?
I'll start, but I'd love to also hand it over to my colleagues too to give their answers. One thing that I have seen is to discuss expectations. Especially if your student will be living at home, to make sure that you understand their schedule, and that the student has room to study, because there will be a lot of time needed outside of class for them to study, especially as we're moving into this strange COVID era where more classes than usual will be online or remote. So just because a student is not going into class doesn't mean that they don't need a lot of time to either attend class remotely or to spend a lot of time studying, reading the material, watching lectures, engaging in Zoom discussions like this with their class. So that is one thing I would encourage you to do, is to have discussions if you will be living in shared space about when might the student have remote classes where they're going to need a little bit quieter time if possible. Will your student have family caretaking responsibilities? And if so, how can they balance all that with schoolwork or other jobs that they may have? So that's one suggestion I have.
I would say too, to piggyback off that, tell them to be comfortable speaking with their faculty members, their instructors, their academic advisors. Amy touched on this, but I also teach some other courses, not just the FYE, and there are times where, students, you know, some are going to be at the front of the class or emailing you or calling you all the time. Some you don't hear from as much. And even in my classes where we're doing team-based learning, we're talking all the time. I've found that some, you know, I've reached out to them. I said, hey, you know, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a few weeks, or you seemed a little stressed in class. What's going on? And they said, well, you know, I've been struggling for 3 or 4 weeks now, or, you know, I really bombed this test and I didn't, you know, understand what you're talking about here. And I would not have known they were struggling if I hadn't reached out to them, and they, you know, they were scared to, you know, come talk to us. They were scared to, you know, express what was going on with them, and just let them know that, you know, the faculty are there to help you. We 100% want to be there for you. And I'm lucky, and my classes are smaller, so I can tell when, you know, students are, you know, maybe not as engaged as they were before. But in some of your bigger classes or online, you can't always tell. And faculty may not know that your student is struggling. So tell them, you know, UAB has many amazing, great resources. Reach out to your faculty, reach out to the Vulcan Materials Academic Success Center, your, you know, tutors, your math lab. But the number one thing, and I, you know, Ms. Brooke and Katie are the advisors in my office, but reach out to your academic advisor. They are your key to the world, your key to your UAB world. And if you're intimidated about talking to your faculty member, or you're struggling and don't know, you know, where to get help, whether it's personally or with classes, those amazing advisors are there to help you and connect you and kind of be like your second mom or your second aunt to make you feel comfortable making those connections when you're not. So can't say enough about the amazing advisors and resources on campus.
I'll just take that as my invitation. Yeah, thanks, Kristen. But and I would say that, especially at UAB, that across campus advising is one of our strengths. And I think that we're all wanting to be there as advocates and to do those things that she was describing. And to kind of add on that about the tutoring and the academic support services through our Academic Success Center. They're excellent, and things like the tutoring is free. Sometimes students don't know that. They think, oh, well, I can't afford a tutor, and that's really, you know, it's already there, ready for them. But I tell students when I'm talking to them this summer about their courses, I'll say, you know, if they mention that they're nervous about taking chemistry or something that they need to take, you know, something like that, I'll say, you know, if you get in the first week, second week, and you're not feeling good about the information, you're not understanding it, you know, obviously, you know, you may want to talk to professor if you need some clarification. There's supplemental instruction that is available. That's like an extra study time. And then I encourage them to do the tutoring early. I'll say, you know, don't get the bad first test grade and then go do tutoring. A lot of students do that. They say, well, let me see how I do on the first test. Yeah. And then they got that D or something back, and then they're panicked. And if they have intervened earlier by going and use those things earlier in that process when they're not getting it early, I feel like they have better results on that first test. And so then they're building upon a better grade for the rest of the semester. So anything that they're not feeling as strong about, if it's not an area they've always kind of had to work harder, you know, don't wait for that first low paper grade or low test grade, you know, reach out early. You have a writing center too. We didn't mention that for like the English composition courses, that kind of thing.
So one of the things, again, for any family members, is any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in. But I do wonder, so sometimes it's easier to learn about or respond to experiences or examples that our students have gone through. So I didn't know if you were willing to talk about maybe a student experience that you had regarding your student maybe struggled at first and how they ultimately overcame a success story or turned it into a success story. Specifically, I'm just working for and looking at that first semester, first year here at UAB.
You kind of cut out. So a success story of a student who maybe struggled the first semester and then overcame? Yeah, absolutely. I have several. I think the great thing about first year experience courses and your freshman year in college is you're learning and you're growing and you're developing, and a lot of students do struggle. My program that I work in is predominantly students planning to go on to further school. So it's biomedical sciences. About 85% of my students are pre-med, pre-dent, pre-optometry. A lot of them want to go to PA school, just some type of healthcare focused graduate program. And I just have an exciting one because the student actually started medical school today. I had a student, his freshman year, he had come from a high school where he did very well. He loved being on campus. He loved UAB. He was very excited. He did not study the way he should have. He did not, he didn't have to as much in high school. He studied, but not, at the level you kind of need to in college. And so he really struggled. I mean, he made some C's and D's, and even in my class, it is a class that's supposed to help you adjust to college, and we're doing community service and service learning and learning to work in teams. So it's not hugely academically rigorous, but he was failing my class. And so finally I just went up to him and, I didn't in front of the class, but I, reached out to him. I was like, hey, can we meet? Come to my office hours or stay after class. And he came and met with me, and he's like, yeah, what's up? And he just had the best attitude and was so excited. And I just had to, as we say in the South, have a come to Jesus with him. And I said, buddy, I love that you're engaged in class. You're excited. You have, great feedback, but it's not showing in what you're turning in. It's not showing your coursework. How are you doing in your other classes? And he's like, I think I'm fine. And I was like, okay. I said, well, maybe, what are some of your grades? And, we talked through those things. And what happened, he didn't realize the impact that some of the things had on his overall grade. Because in high school, if you failed a test here or made a C or D here, you had enough homework and other things to kind of cushion that grade. And, I told him, I was like, well, why don't we create a plan? Why don't you reach out to some of your faculty and review your syllabus, and let's see, do you have that cushion that you think you do? Or, is this really going to impact your grades? Because in a lot of classes, it's just, a couple tests and that's your full grade and maybe a final. And, he struggled. His first semester grades weren't great because by the time, he was able to get with all his faculty and learn how to adjust his social life with his academic life and his free time. He didn't quite overcome that first semester and had some bad grades, but I'm happy to say he learned and he started taking advantages of his services, started taking advantage of his academic advisor, and he really pulled those grades around. And when they asked him about, some of his earlier grades, he was able to give them an honest answer in medical school, and they understood that, there's an adjustment process, but you can always overcome, you can always learn from those. And he was very honest about what he learned from his, earlier time in classes and how he grew from that. And like I said, I'm happy to say it worked out because he got into medical school and started today. So go Blazers, and he's still at UAB.
That is very exciting. I also have some students who are starting graduate school this fall, and sometimes, like Kristen said, may have had a rocky start or may not, but we're very proud of them. Any other panelists have a response to that question that they'd like to give?
So I think a good one is when students start off in the wrong major, and it's only the wrong major because it's the wrong major for them. But this is something we see sometimes of where students come in and think they
represents the disease new live action adaptation. It was a big hit. I don't really know what we could.
Sorry, I don't think that's me. Sorry. So they come in and they think that this is what they want to do, and they get into some of the classes in the major and they find themselves struggling because turns out they're not actually interested in that. And that doesn't mean you should just throw away a class, throw away a major, but sometimes I think that's an important thing to listen to the signs of, gosh, every class I take in this architecture major that UAB does not have, I'm struggling, I don't enjoy it. And seeing them realize, oh my gosh, I just took this class in public health or art history or whatever. And oh my gosh, I'm not this idiot that I've told myself I was. I'm actually really smart. I just didn't connect with this subject area. And so we see that a lot, and that's very exciting. Seeing the students who come in and say, oh, I really don't think I'm good at this. Turning out they really are. And Kristen, I love your story so much. I hope I know your feelings. I love the students starting medical school. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I will hop off again.
Thanks for sharing, Amy. And I agree with both of them, with Kristen about the things that are within your students' control, things like how much they study and where they put their attention, what kind of things they commit to. And then like Amy said, your student will hopefully come to college and be exposed to a lot of new ideas, a lot of new fields, things that they may not have considered before. And we have resources for all of those things to help them as they're parsing through these decisions and the fields that they're going to be exposed to. The other thing I would want to speak about too is sometimes things happen that are out of your student's control. So for me, I was working with a first year student who did excellently in their first semester, who was doing all of the right things, making good choices, considering major, and then some things happened outside of their control, life things. So for example, a family member got sick and suddenly that student had a lot on their mind emotionally, but then also in a time sense of needing to help take care of that family member, maybe had some car problems, some things like that impact their ability to focus on their studies and have time for it when life is kind of invading. We have resources for that kind of thing too. So that's another thing I would encourage you to do, is to help your student know that UAB is here. We recognize that they are students, and that's one aspect of who they are as people. And for them to be able to concentrate on their studies, sometimes life has to kind of align. So if they are encountering difficulties, financial, emotional, physical, life situations, please encourage them to talk to their advisor, talk to their FYE instructor, or to someone else on campus, because we have resources that we can connect them with. We understand that if something is encroaching on their attention, there may sometimes be things that are more important than their studies, like their physical or mental health, that of a family member. And we are here to help, but we need to know if a student is facing challenges. So that's another thing that you as a family member can do, is if something is happening in your student's life that is a struggle, please encourage them to contact someone they trust at UAB, their academic advisor, their FYE instructor, their first year experience course instructor, UAB student counseling. We are able to help connect them with resources to help them get through difficult patches so that they can focus again on their studies, and work through those barriers. Panelists, do you have any other comments you'd like to make about how parents and families can support incoming students? Excellent. Well, we thank you all for your time and attention today. We do want to encourage you as family members to stay connected and engaged. You know how to get involved with Parent and Family Services with that office. The Office of First Year Experience is FYE programs at uab.edu. Please encourage your student to send inquiries, and a lot of what we do is help connect them with who can best help on campus. Thank you for your time, and we hope that you have a good summer. The fall is starting soon, and we look forward to working with your students.